by the court. I get shut down by the court. But we're trying to work through that.
Were his eyes even open during that interview? They look closed. All right, at this point, I'm not even sure he knows that he's lying, but that was a lie. Of course there will be lawsuits, Mr. President, but given what's happening to the country, there is no federal court, and I'm talking about even ones that are staffed with Biden and Obama appointees. No federal court is going to second-guess the White House making the call that is desperately needed to severely restrict border crossers. Now, the fact is, open borders, though, is their preferred policy. I've been telling you guys this for years. This is their policy. In the 2020 campaign, don't forget that President Trump warned voters that Biden would open the floodgates, and after all, he was all but promising he would do that.
We don't need a wall. I would end this notion for the first time in history that people seeking asylum have to be in squalor on the other side of the river. And no one would be put in jail while waiting for their hearing.
Should undocumented immigrants arrested by local police be turned over to immigration officials?
No.
Their plan all along was to speed up, not slow down, the mass importation of foreigners into the United States. Now, their compassion was never directed, or their concern never focused on the American people, who at the time, by the way, were still struggling with the COVID lockdowns. It was reserved for the millions of fraudulent asylum seekers.
We will institute humane and orderly responses. That means rebuilding the capacity we need to safely and quickly process asylum seekers without creating near-term crisis.
Process them where? Process them into the country. Oh, except not Martha's Vineyard. We never want to send them there. Or New York, never there. Or Chicago, never there. Only to, like, Florida and Texas. But he talked about it. We want to avert a short-term crisis. He and his open borders fanatics created a long-term crisis. But to them, of course, American safety, it's irrelevant.
Alvarez, a Haitian migrant, is accused of pushing a 15-year-old disabled girl onto his bed and raping the teen.
Police have charged Fermin Garcia Gutierrez with aggravated murder. Garcia Gutierrez is an illegal immigrant who has been deported 7 times, but keeps finding his way back to Butler County.
Irvin Giovanni Alfaro Lopez was arrested earlier this week on several sex offense charges. Now ICE telling us the man was here from El Salvador and has been in a constant cycle of getting arrested, being deported, and then coming back to the U.S.
But is he registered to vote? No, just kidding, kind of. Again, never forget that the Biden White House does not care about these tragedies until it begins to hurt them politically. And boy, it is hurting them now. But they're generally unfazed about the issue. So unfazed that they don't even bother knowing the real numbers.
How many gotaways have there been since President Biden took office?
Congresswoman, I will provide that data to you. I don't have the number.
Said
it. By the way, that was today. He's been in there for, what, 3 years? He still doesn't know. Isn't it his job to know the numbers? If this bunch does anything on the border, winning in November will be their only motivation. They're not doing it because it's the right thing to do or they want to protect the country. It's because they want to protect their power. And if, heaven forbid, Joe Biden is reelected, I can't even think about it, but if he is, his DHS, I promise you, will simply return to the catch and release policy of the past 3 years. There's only one presidential candidate in this race with any credibility, with any track record, a proven track record, of putting America first at the border. And also, of course, in his economic and his foreign policy as well. And that's Donald Trump.